For the first event in my life graph, I chose being shy at dance for many years growing up and feeling too scared to open up and talk to anyone. This event lasted from 2012 to 2020. I used the quote, "And in the knowledge that we are not alone, we managed to go on page 50 in Kushner's novel. This quote specifically made me think about Kushner's choice in his novel and why he wrote it. It made me realize that although I might not have realized it then when I was a young kid about why I felt so alone, I realize it now that God was never intended for me to struggle, but it brought me who I am friends with today and taught me many things about having independence. I can see God specifically in this event in my life because he taught me that I would meet my people and that I need to trust that they will come at the right moment in time like they did. Kushner also made me realize that maybe not everything happens for a specific reason and that we live through life all differently and go through challenges no matter what stage in life we are in. Next event in my life graph is the first year on Performance Company from 2018 to 2019 at my dance studio, Stage Door Dance Academy. I included the quote, "And suddenly you know it's time to start something new and trust the magic of beginnings" by Meister Eckhart. This quote also related to Kushner, even though it was not specifically from his novel, but it made me realize that by starting something fresh and new, you can learn a lot more about yourself and move on from things that you've struggled with in the past. God specifically was shown through this part of my life because he saw something in me during this beginning of something new. He knew that being a part of this dance world and this community would allow me to accomplish many things along the way and get me to where I am today. Although I might not have realized it then, but looking back at all of my memories and all of my struggles and accomplishments, I'm very proud to say that this event in my life changed me for the better. I am very thankful for this event in my life as well because God gave me my teammates and my best friends that I will have for many years along the way in my life and that I'm very grateful for. He also gave me my teachers and mentors that I've learned a lot from and a second home that I've also learned many things in and will take with me for the rest of my life. The third event in my life graph is going to Greece for the first time in the summer of 2019. I use the quote, "Traveling in the company of those we love is home in motion" by Leah Hunt. This quote also related to Kushner specifically because of his care for family and love for each other. I visited Greece with my family in the summer of 2019 with the hopes of meeting many new family members and getting the experience to travel out of the country. God was present in this experience because his guidance brought me closer to family I've never known and the privilege of new experiences in new places. Although I was very young during this time of my life, and it was a long time ago, it is something that is very close to me and a moment I will remember for the rest of my life. I love Greece, and I love the opportunity to get to see more of my culture and meet people and family that I never knew existed beforehand. The next event in my life graph is getting my dog Bailey in the fall of 2019. I included the quote, "Dogs are not our whole lives, but they make our lives whole" by Roderick Havas. This quote seems very literal, but it is very true because my dog Bailey is a dog that is very important to me and very special. She's unlike any other pets or animals that I've met before, and she truly makes up my whole life. God brought me Bailey into a time in my life when I needed her most, and she has changed my life for the better. I got her at a later stage in her life and my life, but she is still just as important as if I have gotten her when she was a puppy. She always helps me when I'm sad, and she's always there to brighten my day and make me laugh and make me the most happy girl in the world. She truly is like any other dog, and I do believe that God put me and her into each other's lives for a very special reason, and I am very grateful. The fifth event in my life graph is struggling with an eating disorder from the years 2020 to 2022. I use the quote, "We may never understand why we suffer" on page 120 in Kushner's novel. Out of all the events in my life graph, this one relates most to Kushner's novel for me because I've always looked to God and wondered why I've had to go through such an awful stage in my life and experience. It was not until reading Kushner's novel that I understood that there isn't always a reason for why we go through such difficult things, and it is up to us to change our lives and to overcome our obstacles. I can see God in this part of my life when I have prayed to Him, asking how and why I have to go through such an awful experience like this one. However, I look back and realize that this experience shaped me into a stronger person than I would have ever imagined, and it has made me who I am today, even if it didn't feel like that back then when I was going through this difficult time in my life. Sixth event in my life graph is when my dad lost his job in 2020, right around the time of COVID. I use the quote, "Losing a job can feel like losing your self-worth," from page 80 in Kushner's novel. This part of Kushner's novel really resonated to my relation with my dad, and it made me feel really empathetic and sorry for his loss and experience with losing his job. I can see God in this part of my life because I prayed to God when my dad was struggling during this part of our lives and hoped that a job would come his way at some point in time. He had been struggling and looking for new jobs throughout this entire process, and I saw it change him for the worse, and it's affected our family in many ways. The seventh event in my life graph is going to Shepherd High School for my first semester of freshman year in 2022. I use the quote, "We feel alone as if no one understands," from page 62 in Kushner's novel. This part of the novel related to my life and event during this time because I often wondered why I had felt so alone and why I could not find where I truly belonged. Kushner made me realize that there isn't always a reason for this, and with time and with God and patience, you will find your people and you will find where you need to be. I can see God when I prayed to Him about wanting to truly find where I belong during this time of my life, and with time and patience, that gave me my friends I have today and allowed me to feel that I belonged in a place for the first time. Next event in my life graph is when Maggie passed away from a brain tumor. Maggie was a young girl who died at the age of 5 from a brain tumor that was cancerous. She danced in my dance studio and she was full of light and energy and fun. She was the sweetest girl ever and did not deserve to die. I use the quote, "I can worship a God who hates suffering, but I cannot worship a God who chooses to make children suffer and die," from page 43 on Kushner's life graph, on Kushner's novel. This part of my life related much to Kushner's novel because it related to his personal experience with his son, and I often wondered why something so horrible had to have happened to such a sweet, innocent child, and I looked in God and questioned Him consistently. He made me realize that life is too short and that some things happen that are indescribable. While this might not have made sense at the time of her passing, after reading Kushner's novel and his understanding of this experience, like this one, it makes more sense and it allows me to feel more seen. The ninth event in my life graph is getting Dance Makers Collective at Nationals in summer of 2025. I use the quote, "All our dreams come true if we have the courage to pursue them," by Walt Disney. I saw God specifically in this experience and this event in my life because God brought this opportunity into my life because it was my dream and He knew I was capable of accomplishing it, even if I didn't believe so myself at times. He gave me this opportunity to find my place, my people, my home, and for people to share it, and for me to share with so many people across the country. I prayed to God numerous times of this journey and this process of working hard to accomplish this dream, and to say that I have done it is still indescribable and unbelievable, but without God, none of it would have been possible, and I truly believe that. My final and most current event on my life graph is being a member of Dance Makers Collective Season 12. I use the quote, "How lucky I am to have something that makes saying goodbye so hard," by Winnie the Pooh, because although this journey is coming to an end, it has been the most rewarding and fulfilling of all. God knew that there was a time in my life I struggled with confidence in all of the above, and I knew I fought so hard for this dream come true, and He would not have put me into this position if He did not think I could have done it. This event in my life graph has been my favorite thus far, and it has taught me more than I would have ever have imagined. I got to live out my dream this past year, and it has been the most rewarding and best experience ever. I have met my bestest friends, and I have learned so many valuable lessons that are not just dance, but also life lessons that I will take with me for the rest of my life.